This March, Material Culture is bringing to auction the extraordinary collection of Jim and Kit Horne, with over 600 lots of fine, folk, and outsider art, Asian and ethnographic art, and decorative arts and antiques. Some of the playful and edgy artistic sensibility of Jim Horne can be seen in this portrait of Horne himself, commissioned directly from American artist Chris Cooksey. There are two other pieces by Cooksey in the sale, including this outstanding mixed media assemblage called The Palace of Hedonism. Made by the artist in 2006, this surreal universe of otherworldly figures is 2.5 feet long. Another highlight in contemporary art is this ceramic sculpture, Iguana, by Italian artist Alessandro Gallo. Standing 2 feet high, the iguana's anthropomorphic body is tattooed in Japanese and classic Americana style. Notice, among the tattoos on his left hand, the artist's initials and the year it was made, 2012, in Roman numerals. Similarly fanciful animal figures, painted clay covering metal armature, are seen in these 12 exquisite Chinese zodiac figures by contemporary Canadian artist Ellen Jewett. The small but fantastically intricate creatures range in height from 7 inches to 15 inches. Another contemporary ceramic sculpture comes from American artist Clea Carlson. Her 2010 piece Undone, a female stoneware figure with a wooden base and fabric bustle, exemplifies the artist's disrupted classical style, varying gesture with psychological experience. One highlight in painting comes from Jacques Enguerrand Gorgu, with this large oil on canvas, Christ on the Cross. One of Haiti's leading painters of the 20th century, Gorgu created this nearly 5-foot-tall masterpiece late in his life. Horne's eye for painting often guided him towards bright, saturated colors, as is also seen in this 6-foot-tall abstract painting by American artist Sam Friedman, dated to 2017. Many of the same colors are picked up in this much smaller painting, about 16 inches tall, by Scottish artist Heather Neve, A Fork in the Road. Neve, a contemporary artist, plays with the intersection of the surreal and the style of early Renaissance art. Art from the early 20th century includes an excellent drawing by Heinrich Kley, a German illustrator who was a favorite of Walt Disney. This intraspecies squabble, dated 1919, is titled Leben und Ausleben lassen, translating to live and let live. Another piece from approximately the same time period is this mixed media collage by Cuban-American artist Felipe Jesus Consalvos, titled Queen of the Court of Honor. This is a fine example of Consalvos's work in the tradition of cigar band collage. As a collector, Horne was drawn to religious Hispanic folk art, with many beautiful examples in the sale. A nearly life-sized painted wooden statue of the Virgin Mary dates to approximately 1875, likely from Mexico. This statue of La Virgen Purísima, or La Inmaculada, as she's called, would have been dressed in her own cloth robes. Another rendering of the Virgin Mary, also from 19th century Mexico, is this glittering carved wood statue. Her crown is gold-painted tin, jeweled with polished stones, and she's circled with real necklaces and beads. An earlier Spanish colonial wooden sculpture dating to the 18th century depicts Padre Eterno, or God the Father. The Hornes were also huge collectors of Japanese art, from ceramics to prints to clothing to dolls. This stunning lacquered wood signal fan dates to the 17th or 18th century. Signal fans, or gunbai, had a military function and were used by samurai officers to communicate various commands to their soldiers. This fantastic triptych of prints by Utagawa Yoshiku dates to 1893 and is titled Procession of 100 Ghosts. In this work, the Japanese legend of the 100 night demons is combined with the story of 10th century Princess Takayasha in her quest to avenge her father's death. The warrior on the left is challenging her rebellion, while the large spectral frog in the top of each panel is the immortal Nikushi, who is aiding the princess. Amongst other Japanese wood carvings is this curiosity, a 7-inch tall marionette head of Teddy Roosevelt from circa 1906. Roosevelt had been a mediator in the Russo-Japanese War of 1904 and 1905, but following that, tensions between Japan and the United States were high, spurred by the mistreatment of Japanese immigrants in the U.S. Chinese art is also well represented in the collection, including the spectacular antique carved wood Avalokiteshvara from the 19th century. Standing more than 1.5 feet tall, this depiction of the Bodhisattva shows him with 12 sets of arms, holding various attributes. Selections in pre-Columbian art are some of the oldest pieces in the sale. This Jalisco Ameca-style terracotta figure shows the reverence conferred on hunchbacks, who were seen as chosen or touched by the deities and possessing shamanic powers. A wonderful example of pre-Columbian textile is this woven cocoa bag from the North Coast Chimu, or later Inca, culture. Both sides are decorated with a figure whose coexisting human and animal elements suggest they may be a transformative shaman. The Horne Collection also includes many lots of Native American ceramics, clothing, and ceremonial elements. One highlight is this rare Diné or Navajo Yei mask from the early 20th century in excellent condition. This buckskin and horsehair mask would have been worn by a dancer representing a god, likely the god Ganaskidi of the harvest, in a healing ritual for tribe members. A selection of rugs and carpets is led by this gorgeous Tabriz hunting carpet from early 20th century Persia. Intricate hunters and a menagerie of their prey crisscross this 7-foot-long wool and silk carpet. The bottom border contains the signature of Master Alabaf, one of his family's generations of master weavers in Tabriz. The Hornes have also collected decorated instruments, such as guitars, violins, and banjos. One example is this piece by American artist Bruce Eichelberger, a Gibson Maestro guitar whose entire body is decorated with hand-drawn pyrography. Though titled A Day in the Park, the drawings depict the 7 deadly sins and the temptation of Eve and Adam in the Garden of Eden. The auction is replete with a variety of other compelling items, such as this 19th century Spanish matador's outfit of bright pink silk with exquisite goldwork embroidery, or this model of the steamboat the Eliza Anderson, made by American artist John Taylor. Measuring over 3.5 feet long, this model was created from found materials to look as if the ship had been sunk underwater. There are many pieces of art depicting or inspired by insects, but Horne has also collected display pieces of insects themselves, such as this Goliathus beetle specimen, deconstructed and mounted on wires in a glass display case. These beetles, found chiefly in Africa, are the largest insects in the world. Considering the insects in this art collection, like this piece by Andrea Urovich, or this statue by Jim Ojimbo Shealy, it's no wonder that Jim Horne's commissioned Cooksey portrait includes a praying mantis.